Welcome to Who's Wrong. If you're into messy stories, blurred morals, and moments that make you stop and ask, wait, who's actually wrong here? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Now let's get into it. I secretly paid off my sister's mortgage, but only if she left her husband. Am I wrong? Here, what happened, and I still don't know how to feel about it. My sister Sarah, she's always been the soft one, the one who lets people walk all over her. Especially her husband, Mark. He's just a leech, a charming, good-for-nothing leech. I've hated him since day one. He lost his job, 3 years ago, and he's barely worked a solid week since. Sarah works her fingers to the bone, 2 jobs, just to keep their heads above water. Their house, the one she inherited from our grandparents, was on the verge of foreclosure. That house meant everything to her. Our grandma practically raised us in it. I've been fortunate, made some good investments, and I'm financially comfortable. More than comfortable, I watched Sarah getting thinner, more stressed, just fading away. And Mark, he was still buying expensive gadgets, going out with his friends, said he was networking. Networking my butt. I tried talking to Sarah countless times. Leave him, I'd say. He's dragging you down. She'd just cry and say she loved him, that he'd change. It was infuriating. I just couldn't stand by and watch her lose everything, including herself. So I came up with a plan. A drastic one, I admit. I called her one day, calm as anything. Sarah, I said, I know you're struggling. I can help. She sounded so relieved, so hopeful. My heart ached for her. I laid it out for her very carefully. I'll pay off your entire mortgage, every single cent. You won't have to worry about losing the house. There was a pause, a gasp on the other end of the line. She started thanking me, her voice thick with tears, but then I dropped the bomb. There's one condition, Sarah. The silence was deafening. You have to divorce Mark, within 6 months, and he can't get a dime from the house or my money. She went quiet for a long time. I could almost hear her brain working, weighing her options. I knew it was harsh, manipulative even. But I saw it as tough love, a life raft with a very specific destination. She started to protest, but I love him, I cut her off. Love doesn't pay the bills, Sarah. Love doesn't watch you drown while he sips expensive craft beer. This is your chance, your house, your freedom, your peace. I told her to think about it. I gave her a week. That week was torture for me. I wondered if I was being a monster, playing God with her life. But then I'd think of Mark, his smirking face, and my resolve would harden. She called me back on the 6th day. Her voice was small but steady. I'll do it, she said. I'll leave him. It wasn't a triumphant moment for me. It was bittersweet. I knew I was tearing her life apart in a way, but I also believed I was saving it. The divorce was messy, exactly what I expected. Mark screamed, accused her of being a gold digger, me of being a puppet master. I didn't care. I'd already transferred the full amount to her mortgage company. The house was hers, free and clear. It's been a year now. Sarah is still finding her feet. She's living in the house, has her second job still, but she's not frantic anymore. She looks lighter, happier even. Sometimes she'll thank me sincerely. Other times I see a flicker of resentment in her eyes, like she knows I forced her hand. I feel like I did the right thing, rescued her, but a part of me wonders if I crossed a line. Is saving someone from a bad relationship justified if you use money as leverage? I don't know. So what do you think? Was I wrong to use my money to force my sister to divorce her husband, even if I believed it was for her own good? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "You absolutely did the right thing. Some people need a push, and if money was the only way to get her out of that toxic situation, then so be it." Mark sounds like a nightmare. Commenter 2 said, "Interfering in someone's marriage with money is a massive red flag. Even if Mark was a jerk, it was her choice to stay. Now she might resent you forever." Commenter 3 said, "Morally gray, but I'd call it a win. She's free and has her house. She'll thank you properly later once the sting of the divorce wears off." I exposed my best friend's affair during his wedding toast. Who's actually wrong here? So this just happened, literally a few hours ago, and my phone hasn't stopped blowing up. I don't even know where to start, but I need to get this off my chest. My best friend Mark, was my best friend. He got married today, to Sarah, and I blew up his spot publicly. We've been friends since kindergarten, through everything. High school drama, bad breakups, college shenanigans. He was the brother I never had. So when he told me he was getting married to Sarah, this sweet, earnest woman who clearly adored him, I was genuinely happy for him. Except for one massive, glaring problem. Mark had been having an affair, for months, with his coworker, Jessica, and he didn't just tell me, he bragged about it, showed me texts, laughed about sneaking around. He always said he'd end it before the wedding, that it was just a last hurrah. That Jessica knew her place. I hated it. I told him he was being a complete jerk. That Sarah deserved to know. He just shrugged it off, said, "Guys do this, it's normal." He swore up and down he loved Sarah and Jessica was just a bit of fun, a meaningless fling. I struggled with this for months. Do I tell Sarah? Do I ruin his life, our friendship? He was about to marry a wonderful woman under false pretenses. Every time I saw Sarah, saw her glowing, planning the wedding, my stomach churned. She was so innocent, so happy. The wedding day arrived. It was beautiful, too beautiful. Sarah looked stunning, radiating joy. Mark looked, well, like the cat who got the cream, smiling, nodding, acting like the perfect groom. And there I was, best man, standing beside him, knowing his secret. The reception started and it came time for the toasts. My heart was pounding. I had written a speech, a perfectly normal, heartwarming speech about bromance and wishes for a happy future. But as I stood there looking at Sarah's beaming face, then at Mark's smug one, something snapped. I grabbed the mic. "Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Alex, Mark's best friend." I started with the normal pleasantries, talking about growing up, funny stories. People were laughing, nodding, then I paused, took a deep breath. My hands were shaking. "You know, Mark and I have shared everything, secrets, dreams, even bad decisions." I glanced at Mark, who was still smiling, oblivious. "And there's one secret in particular that I've been carrying for a while now." The room went quiet. I could feel the shift in the atmosphere. Sarah looked at me, a slight frown forming on her beautiful face. "Mark," I continued, my voice steady now, "you always told me you'd end things with Jessica before the wedding, that it was just a phase, a meaningless fling." The collective gasp in the room was almost audible. Sarah's face went from confusion to utter horror. She looked at Mark, who had gone sheet white, his smile completely gone. He was staring at me, his eyes wide with disbelief and fury. "But it seems," I said, looking directly at Sarah now, my voice aching, "that some phases last longer than others, and some flings aren't so meaningless when they continue right up until the day of your wedding." Chaos erupted. Sarah burst into tears, pushed away from the table, and ran out of the room. Her bridesmaids followed. Mark vaulted over the table, lunging at me. Guests were shouting, trying to separate us. Someone wrestled the mic out of my hand. Security got involved. I ended up getting shoved out of the venue. My phone is blowing up with angry texts from Mark's family, from mutual friends. Some are calling me a monster, a betrayer. Others are saying Sarah deserved to know. I'm sitting in my car, shaking. Was it the right thing to do? To expose him like that on his wedding day in front of everyone? Or did I just ruin not only his life but also Sarah's in a much more public, humiliating way? My best friend hates me now, but I couldn't let him get away with it. I just couldn't. So what do you think? Was I wrong to expose my best friend's affair during his wedding toast? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "That was brutal but absolutely necessary. Sarah deserved the truth. Mark was a disgusting cheat and got exactly what he deserved." Commenter 2 said, "You're a nuclear option kind of friend." While Sarah deserved to know, there were a million other ways to tell her that didn't involve public humiliation. Commenter 3 said, "Best man or best mess, you torpedoed his life and theirs. Your intentions might have been good, but the execution was pure chaos." I refused to let my mom move in after her stroke. Who's wrong? Okay, this has been eating at me for weeks, and I just need some outside perspective. My mom had a stroke. It was sudden, devastating. She's recovering, thankfully, but she's not the same. She needs constant care, can't live alone anymore. And my siblings, they all expect me to take her in. I'm the youngest, but I'm also the only one really established here in a house big enough with a spare bedroom. My older sister, Carol, lives in a tiny apartment miles away, works 2 jobs. My brother, David, he's got 3 young kids, a small house overflowing already. They both immediately looked at me. "You have the space," Carol said. "It's the logical choice," David echoed. "And they're not wrong, technically. I do have space." A 3-bedroom house, just me and my husband, Tom. We both work demanding jobs, but our schedules are relatively flexible. But here's the thing. I don't want her to move in. I love my mom, I really do. But our relationship has always been fraught. She was a difficult parent, very critical, emotionally draining. Never felt like I was good enough. Even as an adult, she'd call just to tell me everything I was doing wrong. My house isn't clean enough. My career choice was foolish. Why haven't I had kids yet? And now, after the stroke, her personality is even more amplified. She's more demanding, more prone to emotional outbursts. The nurses at the rehab facility have told us it's common, but knowing that doesn't make it easier to deal with. Tom and I spent a weekend with her at the facility, helping out, seeing her through one of her tougher times. It was exhausting. And the thought of that being my everyday life indefinitely felt like a cage closing in. I could feel myself starting to resent her, even before she moved in. So when my siblings brought it up again, more insistently this time, I finally said no. I just came out with it. I can't take Mom in, I told them. Silence. Then the accusations started. How can you be so selfish? Carol cried. She's our mother. She needs us. David chimed in. You're the only one who can do it. We'll help, of course, but you have the setup. Help meant visiting on weekends, offering financial contributions. Not the day-to-day, 24/7 care. I tried to explain. I said it wouldn't be good for my mental health, for my marriage, that we barely have time for ourselves as it is, that I needed my home to be my sanctuary, not a constant source of stress and resentment. They basically called me heartless, said I was abandoning my own mother, that I was ungrateful for everything she'd done for me. Carol even brought up how Mom sacrificed so much for us. How dare I turn my back on her now? But I remember the sacrifices being more like obligations, laced with guilt trips. I remember walking on eggshells my whole childhood, and I don't want that for my adult life. Tom is supportive. He understands my feelings, and he knows how strained my relationship with my mom has always been. He saw how drained I was after just one weekend. He told me it's okay to prioritize my own well-being. Now my siblings are looking into assisted living facilities, which is what I suggested from the start. But they're making me feel like I'm pushing our mom into a home rather than taking care of her ourselves, like I'm farming her out. And they're clearly still angry at me. I feel guilty, a huge, heavy cloud of guilt, but I also feel a strange sense of relief, like I dodged a bullet. Am I a terrible person for putting my own peace of mind above my ailing mother's direct care? Is blood thicker than sanity? I just don't know anymore. So what do you think? Was I wrong for refusing to let my mom move in after her stroke, given our difficult past and her current needs? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "Your mental health matters. You can't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, especially if that person has a history of burning you. NTA." Commenter 2 said, "Family means family. You find a way to make it work even if it's hard. There's a special place in hell for people who abandon their parents." Commenter 3 said, "It's okay to acknowledge a toxic relationship, even with a parent. Your siblings are projecting their guilt onto you because they don't want the burden either. I blocked my friends after they posted my missing brother's suicide note. Am I the jerk? I don't even know where to begin with this. It feels like my life blew up in one single catastrophic moment. My little brother, Liam, has been missing for a week now. The police are involved. We're putting up posters, doing everything we can. It's been hell, just absolute terrifying hell. Every phone call makes my heart stop. Liam struggled with depression for a long time. He'd had a few really rough patches recently. So when he disappeared and we found a note, a suicide note in his room, our worst fears were confirmed. It was addressed to our parents, short and heartbreaking. Just explaining how tired he was, how he couldn't keep fighting. My parents are shattered. My mom is barely functioning. We've been trying to keep this incredibly private. It's too raw, too painful. We haven't even told extended family everything, just that he's missing. We need hope, and the note, well, it diminishes that hope. We're still holding on to the slimmest chance he just ran away. My close friends, Sarah and Mark, they knew about Liam's struggles. They knew he was missing. I confided in them, told them about the note because I was desperate for support, for someone to talk to. I explicitly told them, please, this is private. Do not share this with anyone, especially not the note. It would destroy my parents if it got out. They both promised, swore they wouldn't breathe a word. Yesterday, I was scrolling through Facebook, numbly checking for any news, anything. And then I saw it, a public post. Not from a stranger, but from Sarah, and Mark had shared it. It was a photo of Liam's actual note. Not a transcription, but a picture of the handwritten note. Scans, probably, from when the police took it. How they got it, I have no idea, but there it was for the whole world to see. Her caption was something like, "Our hearts are broken for Liam and his family. If you're struggling, please reach out. This is a reminder to always be kind." Mark's share just said, "So sad, R.I.P. Liam." My blood ran cold, the note. My brother's final, desperate words broadcasted to hundreds of people. Strangers, acquaintances, people who barely knew him, people connected to my parents. My parents. What if they saw it? I started shaking. The betrayal, the utter lack of respect, the stupidity of it all. How could they? How could my friends do something so unbelievably cruel and thoughtless? I called Sarah, screaming. "What have you done?" I yelled. She started crying, trying to explain. "I thought it would raise awareness. I thought it would help people understand. Help people understand my brother's private pain, my family's agony." Mark, when I called him, was equally clueless. "Yeah, Sarah posted it, and I thought it was really impactful. It moved me." Impactful? It was a violation. I didn't argue. I didn't try to explain again why this was wrong. I just hung up. And then one by one, I blocked them. Both of them on everything. Facebook, Instagram, texts, calls. I don't want to see their faces, hear their apologies, or their pathetic excuses. My other friends are now messaging me asking what happened. Why aren't Sarah and Mark involved in the search efforts anymore? They heard I blocked them. They don't know why. They're telling me I'm overreacting, that Sarah and Mark meant well, that I need my friends right now more than ever. But all I can feel is rage, and a profound sense of loneliness. My brother is missing, potentially gone, and my so-called friends just trampled all over his last act and my family's privacy. Am I the jerk for cutting them off completely? For not giving them a chance to explain or apologize further? Am I letting my grief cloud my judgment, or was this an unforgivable betrayal? So what do you think? Am I the jerk for blocking my friends after they posted my missing brother's suicide note online? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "Absolutely not the jerk. They violated your family's privacy in the most egregious way possible. Raising awareness is a BS excuse for clout chasing and disrespect." Commenter 2 said, "While it was incredibly insensitive, they might have genuinely thought they were helping raise awareness or stop others. In your grief, cutting off all support might be a mistake." Commenter 3 said, "People mourn differently." But this wasn't mourning. This was broadcasting trauma for likes. You have every right to protect your family and your peace. I gave my husband's childhood diaries to his estranged dad. Am I wrong? Okay, I need to know if I completely screwed up here. I'm torn, seriously torn. My husband, David, he's been estranged from his dad, Robert, for almost 20 years, since he was a teenager. It was a really messy divorce with his mom, and David sided with her completely. Accused Robert of all sorts of things, neglect, emotional abuse, you name it. He's never spoken to him since. Robert has tried contacting him, cards, letters, but David just ignores it all. I've never met Robert, not in person anyway. But I've seen him, lurking around family events David wasn't at, always looking sad. He seems like a broken man. And honestly, David's refusal to ever even acknowledge Robert's existence always felt a little extreme to me. Yes, Robert wasn't perfect, but David's mom, bless her heart, wasn't exactly impartial. She painted Robert as pure evil, and David just absorbed it. A few months ago, while cleaning out the attic, I found a box of David's old stuff. School projects, report cards, and a stack of small, dusty diaries. His childhood diaries. From when he was like 10 to 14, I know I shouldn't have read them, but curiosity got the better of me, and what I read, it was eye-opening. There were entries about how much he loved his dad, how he missed him when Robert traveled for work, how he looked forward to their fishing trips. There were even passages fantasizing about Robert coming back to live with them, even after the divorce. It painted a picture of a boy who loved his father deeply, a love that somehow got overwritten later. It made me so sad. David has always been so hard, so angry about his dad. But these diaries showed a different truth, a vulnerable little boy who clearly adored Robert. So I did something probably very wrong. I reached out to Robert. I found his number through an old family friend. He was shocked to hear from me. I told him who I was, and then, without explaining too much, I told him I had something for him. We met at a coffee shop. He looked so frail, so lonely. I introduced myself properly, then pulled out the diaries. "These are from David's childhood," I said. "I think you should read them." He looked at me, utterly confused, then at the diaries. As he flipped through the first one, he saw David's handwriting, saw some of the early entries. His eyes welled up. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face, and just whispered, "Thank you." I left them with him. I didn't tell David what I did. I knew he would be furious, disgusted. He considers those years, those memories, to be a closed book. He's built his whole narrative around Robert being this terrible, absent figure. It's been a few weeks. I haven't heard anything from Robert, and David hasn't said anything different about his dad. But I feel like I planted a seed. A tiny bit of truth that might help Robert heal and maybe, just maybe, open David's heart a little in the future. But what if I ruin something? What if this blows up in my face? What if David finds out and resents me forever for interfering, for sharing his private thoughts, for undermining his deeply held beliefs? Was it my place to meddle? Was I wrong to betray my husband's trust, even if I thought I was doing something good, something healing? So what do you think? Was I wrong to give my husband's childhood diaries to his estranged dad? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "What you did was a huge boundary violation. Those were your husband's private thoughts from childhood. You had no right to read them, let alone share them. Huge YTA." Commenter 2 said, "This is a tough one. On one hand, privacy, on the other, you saw a chance for healing and reconciliation. Sometimes big risks are needed for big rewards." Commenter 3 said, "You bypassed your husband completely on a deeply personal family issue. That's a huge breach of trust. He has every right to be mad, even if your intentions were good." "I got my teenage niece's phone unlocked after she went missing. Am I the jerk?" "I don't even know. This whole situation is just a mess, and now my sister is barely speaking to me. My niece Maya, she's 16, and she went missing a few days ago. Just vanished. No note, no fight, nothing. One minute she was in her room, the next she was gone. Her phone was also gone. My sister, her mom, is absolutely beside herself. Frantic, calling everyone, posting on social media, working with the police. We've all been helping, searching, just desperate for any sign of her. Every hour without news feels like a lifetime. The police have been helpful, but they said they need a warrant to access her phone records, and that takes time. Time we didn't feel we had. Every minute felt critical. My sister was losing it, convinced the worst had happened. This is where I maybe went too far. My husband, he's pretty tech-savvy. He runs a small computer repair business on the side, deals with all kinds of devices. He's good with this stuff. I asked him, quietly, if there was any way he could access Maya's phone if we got our hands on it. He was hesitant, said it was a gray area, but if it was for a missing person, he'd try. A couple of days later, the police found her backpack with some clothes, a few other things, and her phone. It was dead. They gave it to my sister, who then passed it to me because they wanted us to identify some items. She didn't even think about the phone, just wanted to hold something of Maya's. I charged it up. It was locked with a passcode, of course. My sister didn't know it, didn't even know her Apple ID password. She was too distraught to think clearly about it. I saw her looking at it, desperate, tears streaming down her face, wishing she could just see what was on it. Any clue, so I went to my husband. I told him, please, my sister is breaking, whatever you can do, do it. He looked at me, then at the phone, then back at me. He knew the risk, knew it wasn't strictly legal. But he also saw the agony in my eyes. It took him a few hours, a lot of specialized software, some tricks he's perfected over the years, but he did it. He bypassed the lock screen, got into her phone. I didn't open it right away. My hand was shaking. I went to my sister, who was huddled on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, just staring blankly. I got into her phone, I whispered. Her head shot up. What? She croaked. Tom unlocked it, I said. We can see everything. She snatched the phone from my hand. For a moment there was relief, pure, unadulterated hope. Then she started scrolling, and soon the relief turned into something else. It wasn't a kidnapping. It wasn't some dark, sinister plot. Maya had been talking to an older guy she met online, someone a few states away. He had convinced her to run away to meet him. There were messages about money, bus tickets, a new life. She was planning to meet him in a small town almost 800 miles away. My sister went from despair to furious rage. Not at the guy, not at Maya, but at me. How dare you? She shrieked, clutching the phone. How dare you invade her privacy? Who gave you the right? I was stunned. We were looking for her. Your daughter was missing, I argued. This was the only way to find her. This is how we know where she went. She just shook her head, tears still falling, but now they were angry tears. This is an illegal hack. You have no right. She's a minor, she called her husband, who then called me equally furious. They're both telling me I crossed a huge line, that I broke the law, that I invaded Maya's privacy in a way that's unforgivable. But we found her. The police are now involved again, knowing exactly where to look. They're going to get her back. Without that phone, without us bypassing the lock, it would have taken days, maybe weeks, to get that information. Every minute counted. Am I the jerk? Was it fundamentally wrong to unlock her phone, even if it meant finding her and potentially saving her from a terrible situation? My sister says I ruined Maya's trust and that she'll never forgive me. So what do you think? Am I the jerk for getting my teenage niece's phone unlocked after she went missing? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, "Not the jerk. Your niece was in danger. Privacy goes out the window when a child is missing and potentially being groomed. Your sister is in shock and misplaced anger." Commenter 2 said, "While your intentions were good and the outcome positive, you still broke the law and Maya's trust. There's a fine line between helping and overstepping." Commenter 3 said, "Your sister prioritizing privacy over her missing child's safety is insane. You did what any loving aunt would do. She'll realize it eventually." My estranged daughter sent me a happy birthday text from my abuser's phone. Am I wrong? This happened just yesterday and I'm still reeling. It was my birthday. Not a big one, but a birthday nonetheless. Usually it's just a quiet day, but I always hold out hope for a message from my daughter, Lily. We've been estranged for 5 years. It's a long, complicated story. Lily's father, Mark, was abusive, verbally, emotionally, sometimes physically. I finally got the courage to leave him when Lily was 15. It was a messy, drawn-out divorce, and he turned Lily against me. Told her I was selfish, that I broke up the family, that I was a horrible mother. He manipulated her something awful. Lily chose him. She stayed with him, refused to see me, blocked my calls. It broke my heart into a million pieces. I've tried over the years, cards, letters, even showing up at her door once. Nothing, just silence or slammed doors. It's been 5 years now, and I've learned to live with the quiet ache. But it never truly goes away. So yesterday my phone buzzed. Unknown number. My heart leaped into my throat. Could it be her? After all this time, I opened the message. "Happy birthday, Mom." It was her, Lily. My breathing hitched. Tears instantly welled up. It was short, not overly emotional, but it was her. I knew it was her. I stared at the screen, a mix of joy and disbelief swirling inside me. I immediately started typing a reply. "Oh, Lily, thank you, baby. I miss you so much. How are you?" But then, as I was about to hit send, I realized something. The number. It wasn't a new number for her. It was Mark's number, her father's number, my abuser's number. My stomach dropped. The joy drained out of me, replaced by a cold, hard knot of dread. Why would she be texting me from his phone? Is she just visiting, or is she still living with him? Is he standing over her, making her send this? Is this his way of messing with me, of reminding me that he still controls her, still controls us both? All the old fears, the trauma, it all came rushing back. The thought that she was still under his thumb, still in his environment, made me physically sick. I deleted my half-typed reply. I just couldn't respond. The message coming from that number felt tainted. It felt like a trap, another manipulation. It felt like a performance for him, not a genuine outreach from her. I spent the rest of my birthday fighting back tears, feeling like my heart had been ripped open and stomped on. I wanted to believe it was her reaching out, truly. But the source it made it impossible. My sister, when I told her, said I should have just replied. Who cares whose phone it came from? It was her words. It was a step. But I don't know. The thought of engaging, of potentially feeding into whatever game he might be playing, or worse, just confirming to him that he still has this power over me through her. I couldn't do it. Did I just throw away my one chance to reconnect with my daughter because of my own trauma and fear? Am I wrong for letting my complicated history with her father overshadow a potential olive branch from her? I feel like a horrible mother, but also like a scared survivor. So what do you think? Was I wrong to not reply to my estranged daughter's happy birthday text because it came from my abuser's phone? Let's take a look at what some of the top comments said. Commenter 1 said, You absolutely did the right thing. That was a huge red flag and likely a power play from him. Lily needs to reach out from her own space, not his. Protect your peace. Commenter 2 said, "This is heartbreaking. While it's understandable to be triggered, you might have missed a genuine attempt at connection. Sometimes you have to look past the messenger." Commenter 3 said, "Your trauma does not make you wrong. He's been abusive. You're allowed to protect yourself from any potential manipulation. Lily will understand when she's ready." Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. We'll see you in the next one.